Okay, guys, and we're back with another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest. I'm Seth from the Lonely Stoner podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Naoya Inoue making his return, and he's going to be defending his 3 World Super Bantamweight titles against Ramon Cardenas. Ramon Cardenas is a guy who, he's gotten a title shot. He's been on a winning streak. I can't say he's a boxer that I know a ton about. He's, I think his record's 26-1, so he's lost before, but not that should really be held against him. It was a long time ago when he lost, many years ago, and he's been winning, all of his fights sort of since then. From what I can see, a good enough boxer, decently sized for the weight division, but, come on, you're against Naoya Inoue, who's, undefeated, knocking out so many guys at these lower weight classes, and is definitely one of the current pound-for-pound greats. Just a guy who's been able to, for a guy to carry this sort of power at these sorts of weight divisions is, come on. It's unheard of, if we're being honest. It's unheard of since, Pacquiao, right? Since Pacquiao was moving up the weight divisions and he was stopping these guys and putting on these raw shows. Inoue's definitely in that ilk. I definitely don't think Inoue will go as far up the weight divisions as Pacquiao did. That was, a bit ridiculous. All the way now where Pacquiao's fighting at welterweight, I don't think Inoue's got that in him at all. He's got maybe one more weight division, which would be featherweight. But to be honest, like I said, I looked through the weight divisions. I would fancy Naoya Inoue against those featherweight world champions as well. I'd fancy him at least against one of them to at least win one more title at featherweight. He's more than capable of. But you look at the resumes and it doesn't really compare. Like, Naoya Inoue's beaten the far higher level guys. His resume, Naoya Inoue's resume is, a who's who of top guys at the lower weight divisions. I see 2 wins over Nonito Donaire. I see Lewis Neri, TJ Doherty, or Doheny. A number of great wins there. That's what Naoya Inoue's done. That's what he's got on his resume. Steve Fulton, great win. A really talented boxer in Steve Knowlton. Like I said, Lewis Neri, TJ Doheny. And now he's going to be fighting Ramon Cardenas. And like I said, it's for the IBF, WBC, and WBO World Super Bantamweight Championships. But in my opinion, you'd be silly to put your money on anyone other than Naoya Inoue. I'd say that for all of Naoya Inoue's fights because he's unbeaten. 29 wins, 26 knockouts. This dude's stopping everyone. He's putting beatings on guys. He's making them quit. But Naoya Inoue he's unbeaten, but he's not unbeatable. Right? We've seen Naoya Inoue stay in the pocket for too long, stay exposed for too long, get hit, get clipped, get dropped. Naoya Inoue's shown the resiliency and the chin to get up, sort of recalibrate himself, come back and go on to either stop that guy or comfortably win that fight. Because now that's what world title guys do. That's what world level guys do. And Naoya Inoue is in that conversation. More than in that conversation. He's a pound for pound great. Right? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? More than just in that conversation. So yeah, like I said, I'd really struggle to put my money on anyone other than Naoya Inoue when it comes to him fighting. But yeah, guys are sort of criticizing him for saying, it's another easy fight. But I find it's almost a similar sort of criticism that Canelo was getting, where he's fighting, a lot of the top guys in his division. He's just making it look easy, against guys, the young up and coming guys. Obviously, it's a bit different now. He's not necessarily doing that. Whereas with fights against, guys like TJ Doheny, etc. He's not necessarily fighting the up and coming guys, but even Marlon Tapales, Paul Butler, and Nonito Donaire. Obviously, these guys weren't up and coming when they fought in a way, but do you know what I mean? You're fighting the top contenders. You're fighting who you're supposed to be fighting, and you're winning. So you can't really knock him like that. And it was the same thing for Canelo, where at least Canelo was fighting these young up and coming guys who were trying to make a name against themselves. And that's the thing. That's something that I think was really sort of slept on when we talk about these guys that are at a high level for so long. You've got a huge target on your back. Huge target on your back. So yeah, we'll see what's next for Naoya Inoue and guys like Canelo, etc. But yeah, like I said, you'd struggle to convince me to put any money on anyone other than Naoya Inoue when it comes to him fighting. But yeah, be curious to know what you guys think of this fight, and another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.